applause for Andres Parra.
I'd like to kick things off with a game most of us are familiar with. Judges, please participate. So Simon says, look to the left. Now to the right. Simon says, look to the right. Now look behind you. Now, do you know what you're looking for? Well, probably not. But I'm here to tell you a personal experience. A couple of years ago, I was able to share with the Jewish community a day of Yom HaShoah. Now, what's Yom HaShoah? Basically, Yom HaShoah is a day in which the Jewish community stops, commemorates the lives of those lost during the Holocaust. Now, this experience was an eye-opening experience for me, for many reasons. But it also made me realize that there's a huge problem in our society. A problem present in our schools, our workplace, and even right here, right now. What am I talking about? Well, you see, historical events, both past and present, like the attacks on 9/11, or even the Ebola crisis in Africa, has led us to believe wrong things about different cultures. But that's only part of the problem. The second part of the problem really lies upon the media. The way the media presents these problems to us has a big impact on the way we look at cultures. It creates two things most of the time. It creates social stigmas, and it also creates cultural generalization. I don't know if most of you have taken the time to look at the news recently, but if you haven't, I'm here to just give you two examples of what I'm talking about. When we look at Muslims nowadays, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Well, what the media wants us to believe is that Muslims are radical people. They're violent people, people that we should run away from, people that only have one purpose, and it's to destroy and kill Westerns at all costs. Unfortunately, we all know that that is not true. Let me give you another example, an example that probably hits closer to home. When we think about Latinos, we probably think about illegal immigration. We think about these people living in their countries only to come to the United States and take away the benefits that you and I are entitled to. Is this true? Well, probably not. Let me just give you another example. I was born in Colombia, and do we have any other Colombians in the audience? There's one over there. Mexicans? All right, well, aren't we just so tired, so sick and tired, that the only thing that comes out of documentaries, out of the news, movies, is the whole aspect of drugs, cocaine, and cartels? Well, now what happens? What happens when we put those historical events of past and present? What happens when we add our own visualization and stigmas that the media spun to us? Well, we most likely get a huge mess. A mess that I like to call cultural blindness. You see, with cultural blindness, we forget about our horizons. We forget about the people sitting right next to us. And most likely, we forget about the T word. Now, what's the T word? I'm talking about tolerance. Without tolerance, this leads only to negative consequences. I'm talking about racism. And when I mean racism, I don't only talk about countries or continents or societies feeling superior or inferior than others. I'm talking about people like you and me here in the US, where the same struggles of blacks and whites that have gone over centuries. Now, what also adds to these feelings of racism? Most likely, negative feelings. What kind of feelings? There's feelings of hate, feelings of resentment, even phobia. It's kind of sad to think about phobia when we think about people, because after all, people are people just like you and me. This all leads me to the reason why I stand before you tonight. I'm here to challenge you. That's my invitation for you. It's my call to action. So let's go ahead and do this thing again. Look to your left. Go ahead. Now look to your right. Now look behind you. Now what do you see? Well, what I want you to see tonight is cultures. I want you to see how easy it is for us to embrace different people than us. Because in most cases, what they can teach us are valuable things. What I want you to get from this is for you to accept, value, and even educate yourself about these cultures. I'm not a dreamer, but in the words of Maya Angelou, there's two things that come out when we think about cultures. There's a beauty and there's a strength to it. And I believe that the United States is what it is because all these different cultures that surround us. So go ahead, take my challenge tonight. I dare you. I dare you to embrace culture. Thank you.